Morning students, hope you are all fine. Today we are going to see chapter 14 Water in grade 6 science NCERT book. Water is one of the basic requirements for all the living things. Water is one of the basic requirement for all the living things. That means all living beings need water to live. All living beings need water to live. The relationship between life and water is so close. The relationship between life and water is so close that first life form of the earth most probably organized in a seawater. Do you know that about 75% of the earth is covered with water? Do you know that about 75% of the earth is covered with water? 75% of earth is covered with water. 75% of earth is covered with water. Remaining 25% is land. Remaining 25% is land. See this image. And about 2% of water is present in solid form. 2% of water is present in solid form. That means snow form. Out of 98%, about 97.5% is available in oceans and sea. Out of 98%, about 97.4% water is available in oceans and seas. And 0.6% is available in rivers, lakes, and ponds. Remaining 0.6% is fresh water. We can tell it as a fresh water. These are available in rivers, lakes, and ponds. We still hear of shortage of water at many places, isn't it? Do you know reason? Yes, because most of the water, that means 97.4% is in seas and ocean. Most of the water, that means 97.4% is in seas and oceans. Their salt content is so high that cannot be used by us. Seas and ocean water salt content is so high that cannot be used by us. Water is not evenly distributed on the earth. There may be floods at some places and complete lack of rain for years at the other places. And then population of water is also spoiling the quality of water available to us. Population of water is also spoiling the quality of water available to us. Level of groundwater is also going down because of human activities like cutting trees. So we want to avoid the cutting trees. We should planting trees. Next we'll see importance of water. Importance of water. We can live without food. We can live without food several weeks, but we can live without food several weeks. But without water, life cannot last of one more than a few days. Without water, life cannot last of one more than a few days. Water is essential for life. Water is useful to us in many ways. In plants, water is essential for germination of seeds, transportation of nutrients, photosynthesis, and their growth as well. In plants, water is essential for germination of seeds, transportation of nutrients, photosynthesis, and their growth. Next, water is used for various purposes in our day-to-day life. Water is used for various purposes in our day-to-day life for cooking, drinking, bathing, washing. Water is used in dams to generate electricity. Water is used in dams to generate electricity. A large amount of water is used in agriculture and industries. A large amount of water is used in agriculture and industries. Water is also used as a medium of transport. Water is also used as a medium of transport. Nowadays, lakes and rivers are used for fishing, swimming, and boating activities. This kind of activities are we are doing in the lakes and rivers. Water also regulate the climate of the place and provide homes to many animals. So it's provide place to living place to many animals like fish, isn't it? Water also regulate the climate of the place and provides homes to many animals. That means water animals. It's give a place to most of the water animals. Plants, animals, and human beings need water for their survival. Plants need water to prepare food and for germination of seeds. Animals and humans need water for all their body functions like digestion, respiration, circulation. So, animals and humans need water for all their body functions. These all are uses of water or importance of water. The flowing water is used for generating electricity, isn't it? How? With the help of the water wheel. With the help of the water wheel. The flowing water rotates the water wheel. Listen carefully. The flowing water rotates the water wheel. The rotating water wheel then rotates the rotator. The rotating water wheel then rotates the rotator of a dynamo and generates electricity. The flowing water rotates the water wheel. The rotating water wheel then rotate the rotator of a dynamo and generates electricity. Next one, states of water. States of water. What is the state of water that you drink? What is the state of water that you drink? You have already read that matter can exist in a three states, isn't it? One is a solid, second one liquid, and third one is a gas. Solid, liquid, and gas. These are the three states of water. Now I will ask that question. What is the state of water that you drink? Yes, liquid state. The state of water that you drink is liquid. The state of water that you drink is liquid. Isn't it? Yes. What happens when water is heated? What happens when water is heated? It's become water vapor, isn't it? It's become water vapor. Water vapor is in which state? Yes, it's in a gas state. The most common substance that you can observe around you is water, and it exists in nature in all three states of water. In the solid state, it exists as snow on high mountains, and water exists as a liquid in rivers, lakes, seas, and oceans. In gaseous state, water exists as water vapor in the air. Water vapor in the air. These are the three states of water. We can see solid form in high mountain regions and liquids in rivers, lakes, and oceans. In gaseous state, we can see it in water vapors in the air. These are the three states of water. Water in the solid form occurs as ice and snow on the peaks of mountains and in the polar regions. In the liquid form, water occurs in oceans, seas, rivers, lakes, ponds, springs, wells, etc. Liquid water covers nearly 3/4 of surface of the earth. Liquid water covers nearly 3/4 surface of the earth. In the gaseous form, water exists as a water vapor or steam. Water vapor or steam. The Earth's atmosphere contains a large amount of water vapor. The Earth's atmosphere contains a large amount of water vapor. Next, we'll see change of state. Next, we'll see change of state. We can obtain the three states of water by changing the temperature, that means by heating or cooling. We can obtain the three states of water by changing the temperature by heating or cooling. First, take a ice tray and fill it with the water. Keep it in the freezer of refrigerator to cool it. What happened to water after 1 to 2 hours? Listen, take a ice tray and fill it with water. Keep it in the freezer of refrigerator to cool it. What happens to our water after 1 to 2 hours? When water is cooled, it forms ice. When water is cooled, it forms ice. This change is known as freezing of water. When water is cooled, it forms ice. When water is cooled, it forms ice. This change is known as freezing of water. Next, take some ice from the refrigerator and put it in a bowl. Take some ice from the refrigerator and put it in a bowl. Place it outside the refrigerator. Place it outside the refrigerator. What happened to the ice? Yes, it quickly melts to form water. It melts quickly to form water. This change of ice to water is called melting of ice. This change of ice to water is called melting of ice. Next, do you know how the wet clothes get dry up when we put them on the clothesline? Do you know how the wet clothes get dry up when we put them on the clothesline? Have you ever think about it? Where this water goes? Have you ever think about it? Where this water goes? The reason is when we put these wet clothes in the sun, the heat of the sun evaporates the water. Listen, do you know how the wet clothes get dry up when we put them on the clotheslines? The reason is when we put these wet clothes in the sun heat evaporates the water. The heat of the sun evaporates the water. The water present in the wet clothes changes to the water vapor. The water present in the wet clothes changes to the water vapors. Let's see an activity to understand this one. Take two bowls, put equal amount of water in each. Take two bowls, put equal amount of water in each. Put one bowl in sunlight and another in a shade of a tree. Put one bowl in a sunlight and another in the shade of tree. Observe the amount of water left in each bowl after interval of 1 hour. You will observe that evaporation is faster under the sunlight. You can observe that evaporation is faster under the sunlight. Though evaporation takes place at all temperatures and a hot liquid evaporates faster than a cold liquid, isn't it? Hot liquid evaporates faster than a cold liquid. Wet clothes dry faster in the sun. Wet clothes dry faster in the sun than in the shade of tree. The water evaporates faster in the bowl kept it in the sun. So, rapid evaporation takes place when water starts boiling and forms steam. Rapid evaporation takes place when water starts boiling, forms steam. Next one, transpiration, that means loss of water by plants. Plants lose a lot of water by transpiration. Plants absorb water from the soil and release the excess water through their leaves. Plants absorb water from the soil and release the excess water through the leaves. Leaves of plants have small pores on them called stomata. Leaves of a plant have small pores on them called stomata, through which excess water in the form of water vapor is released to air. The excess water released to air by the form of water vapor. It's released through the stomata. This process is known as transpiration. This process is known as transpiration. The large amount of water vapor is put back into the air through transpiration. Listen carefully. This is a very important point. The large amount of water vapor is put back into the air through transpiration. Just like evaporation, it is an invisible process as the water vapor mixes with the surrounding air. This transpiration is an invisible process as the water vapor mixes with the surrounding air. Next, how are clouds formed? Next, we are going to see how are clouds formed. Clouds are formed by a process known as condensation. Clouds are formed by a process known as condensation. The phenomena of changing the water vapor to water droplets on cooling is called condensation. The phenomena of, or else the changing the water vapor to water droplets. Water vapor to water droplets on cooling is called condensation. The process of condensation plays an important role in bringing water back to the surface of earth. The process of condensation plays an important role in bringing water back to the surface of earth. Now we'll see formation of clouds. Clouds are formed as the result of condensation, isn't it? Is it true? No. Yes. When air contains water vapor is heated by the sun, it rises up as it is higher. When air contains water, we know that air contains water droplets, isn't it? So the water droplets is heated by the sun. If we heat the water, means it's become a water vapor. So when air containing water vapor is heated by sun, it rises up as it is higher. As we go higher for the surface of the earth, the temperature falls and the air gets cooler. The water vapor moves up, it gets cooler. When cooled water vapor reaches a certain height, it condenses to form water droplets. When cooled water vapor reaches a certain height, it condenses to form water droplets. These droplets remain suspended in air and form a clouds. As a clouds cool further, the water droplets join together and become bigger to form water drops. With further cooling, these water drops become bigger and heavier and falls on earth as raindrops. In certain condition, a very cool temperature, these raindrops may freeze and fall on earth as hailstorm or snow. By this way, clouds are formed. Water in the clouds fall back on the earth as rain, snow, or hail. Isn't it? Water in the clouds fall back on the earth as rain, snow, or hail. Some rainwater is absorbed by the soil. Some rainwater is absorbed by the soil and moves deeper into the soil to form groundwater. Listen. Some rainwater is absorbed by the soil and moves deeper into the soil to form groundwater. The absorption or movement of water through the space between soil particles is known as infiltration. Infiltration. The absorption or movement of water through the space between soil particle is known as infiltration. The level under the ground where all the space between soil particles are saturated with water is called the water table. See this image? There is a water table, no? The level under the ground where all the space between soil particles are saturated with the water is called the water table. Water table. The groundwater may come out through natural opening of the rocks to form natural springs. Natural springs are the source of water found in many lakes. The groundwater may come out through natural opening of the rocks to form a natural springs. Natural springs are the source of water found in many lakes. Let's see an important topic, water cycle. Let's see an important topic, water cycle. Water cycle is a continuous cyclic movement of water from earth to air and back again to earth. Water cycle is a continuous cyclic movement of water from earth to air and back again to earth. The cycle repeats again and again in a never ending cycle. The cycle repeats again and again in a never ending cycle. The water keeps moving and changing from solid to liquid, liquid to gas, over and over again. Water from the oceans and surface of earth evaporates and moves into the air as water vapor to form clouds. Isn't it? We already discussed how clouds are formed, isn't it? So, water from the oceans and surface of earth evaporates and moves into the air as water vapor to form clouds and then falls back to earth as rain, hail, or snow, and finally goes back to the oceans. It then evaporates again and the cycle continues. Water cycle begins with evaporation. Water cycle begins with evaporation. Sun heats up water in oceans, rivers, and lakes, isn't it? Sun heats up water in oceans, river, and lakes, and turn it into water vapor. When water gets heat, it become a water vapor. So it turns into water vapor or steam, which is released into the air. It's released into the air. Plants also lose water by the process of transpiration, isn't it? We already saw this one. Plants also lose water by the process of transpiration from their leaves and release water as water vapor into the air. Water vapors condense as the air becomes cooler. Water vapors condense as the air becomes cooler and change back into water drops to form clouds and change back into water drops to form clouds. On further cooling and condensation, water droplets become large water drops. On further cooling and condensation, water droplets become large water drops that the air cannot hold anymore. And this falls on earth as a rain or snow. And this falls on earth as rain or snow. Through rain, hail, or snow, water comes back to earth. Through rain, snow, or hail, water comes back to earth. It gets back to the oceans, lakes, and rivers. When it falls to the ground, it gets soaked into the earth and become groundwater. So this is a water cycle. This process we call it as a water cycle. Student, let me ask a question. Why are the oceans salty? Why are the oceans salty? Do you have any idea? Okay, I will explain it. As water flows through the rivers, it pick up small amount of mineral salts from the rocks. As water flow through the rivers, it picks up small amount of mineral salts from the rocks and soil of the riverbeds and become slightly salty. This slightly salty water flows into the oceans and seas. As the sunlight falls on the oceans, the water of the ocean changes into water vapor and evaporates. But the salt remains dissolved in the ocean as the salt does not evaporate. So the remaining water in this ocean gets saltier and saltier with time. This is a reason why are the oceans salty. Okay, let's see importance of water cycle. Importance of water cycle. The water cycle is important for us because water cycles helps in regulating weather on the earth. Water cycle helps in regulating weathers on the earth. Water cycle makes water available in various form on the earth. Water cycle makes water available in various forms on the earth. The most important is the rainwater because agriculture productions depends mainly on rains in many parts of the world. Water cycle makes water availability in various forms on earth. The most important is the rainwater. Most important one is the rainwater because agricultural production depends mainly on rains, isn't it? Agriculture production depends mainly on rains in many parts of the world. So water cycle is the important one in the world. What if it rains heavily? It rains heavily means it's lead to flood. When it rains heavily, it causes floods. Floods occur when there is a large amount of rain in a short period of time. Listen carefully. Floods occur when there is a large amount of rain in a short period of time, which could be a few days to a few hours. This excess rainfall causing floods is not desirable because it leads to number of problems like uh, river overflow from the bank, spreading water over a large area, and flood waters cause a lot of damages to houses, properties, crops, animals, and human. Many people lost their lives and they get carried away by floods. Floods may kill a number of aquatic animals which get carried away by the fast flowing floodwaters and get trapped on land as the water resides. Floods also kill animals living in the soil as floodwater fills their tunnels and block the supply of air to breathe. A number of people get trapped in isolated patches of land without drinking water, food and medical aid as these places are difficult to reach because of heavy rainfall. Because of heavy rainfall. Heavy and excessive rain may cause a rise in the level of water in dams, rivers, lakes. At times, such a situation may cause floods. Floods causes extensive damage to crops, properties, animals, and human life. crop fields, village and many low-lying areas get submerged underwater. During floods, many animals living in water get trapped on land and die when the floodwater recedes. Next, what if it does not rain for a long period? If there is a little or no rain for a long period, it leads to shortage of water and dryness of the ground, a condition known as drought. Just like heavy rain is not desirable, drought is also not desirable as it is cause a number of problems. It's lead to fall in the water level of the rivers, ponds and lakes, affecting the aquatic plants and animals' life. It dries up the soil as it is continuously loses water through evaporation. Dry soil leads to low or no harvest of crops. It's lead to a drop in the level of groundwater as well, affecting the water supply to the people that own water for the wells, tube wells, and bore wells. During drought, as the grass and the food for plants do not grow, isn't it? It's lead to the death of animals due to hunger and lack of shelter. It causes shortage of water for basic needs like drinking water, food, and fodder, affecting both humans and animals. People living in drought affected regions suffer from hunger, malnutrition, and poor health. Next, we are going to see conservation of water. Conservation of water. About three-fourths of the Earth's surface is covered with water. Three-fourths of Earth is covered. Surface of Earth is covered with water. But people in many countries do not get enough drinking water. This is because most water on the earth's surface is not fit for drinking because they are present in oceans and seas. The drinking water therefore must be conserved, isn't it? Careful, economical use and avoiding the wastage of water is called conservation of water. What is conservation of water? Careful, economical use and avoiding the wastage of water is called conservation of water. Increase in population has added to the demand of water to meet their requirements. Higher population causes higher demand for food. So, greater demand for water for agricultural purposes. Water pollution has also reduced the availability of usable water. Water pollution also reduce the availability of usable water. The most important source of usable water is underground water such as well water. The underground water is being used more and more for industrial and agricultural purposes. As a result, the level of underground water is falling, isn't it? If we are often we are using underground water means it's become falling. The underground water level is falling. This is a very serious problem. We must do something to prevent lowering of the underground water level. Use only the required quantity of water. Don't use more water. Don't waste more water. Use only the required quantity of water. Do not allow water to drip from defective taps. Trees and forest helps rainfall. So to conserve water, we should plant more and more trees. We should plant more and more trees. It brings a rainfall. The rainfall gradually increasing the groundwater level. We should use drip irrigation or spray irrigation system for our crops. By collecting rainwater in tanks, ponds, or by constructing check dams. By rainwater harvesting, in this method, rainwater from the rooftops is collected in suitable dams or old dried up wells and allowed to penetrate into the soil. Now we'll see rainwater harvesting. It's a best method to conserve water. Next one, rainwater harvesting. It's a process of collecting rainwater during rains or monsoons and using it to meet our fresh water requirements any time of the year. Rainwater is one of the purest form of water available in nature but it's available only for a few months in a year. By rainwater harvesting, this water can be collected during rains and can be used when needed. In rural areas, rainwater seeps into the soil naturally due to vast open space and reaches groundwater. In urban areas, most of the rainwater flows into the dirty drains and goes to river and lakes, which may be far away. As the urban areas are covered with building and roads, very little water seeps into the soil. This is the reason why rainwater is very important in urban areas. Rainwater can be harvested into two ways. One is a rooftop rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting through roadside drains and open space. These are the two ways of rainwater harvest. Rainwater can be harvested. Rooftop rainwater harvesting. In this method, the rainwater from the rooftop is collected in a storage tank with the help of pipes. Here it is filtered and then sent into a pit. This water in the pit seeps, that means percolates. Percolates means it's move through the soil. Water movement in the soil is called as a percolate. Slowly into the ground to reach the groundwater. The water in the pit seeps slowly into the ground to reach the groundwater. This one is a rooftop rainwater harvesting. Next one, open drain or tank water harvesting. In this method, the water flowing on the roads, grounds. This one is collected in ponds and, and storage tank. This one we can collect it in a ponds and storage tanks. This water is allowed to percolate into the ground to reach the groundwater. Advantages of rainwater harvesting is overcoming shortage of water. Overcoming shortage of water. Increasing the level of groundwater. Increasing the level of groundwater. Rainwater harvesting helps in controlling floods by collecting rainwater from the surface and releasing it into the shore storage tanks or deep into groundwater. Rainwater harvesting helps in controlling floods by collecting rainwater from the surface and releasing it into the storage tanks or deep into the groundwater. These are the advantages of rainwater harvesting. Okay, students, we completed this lesson. We will see next lesson in our next class. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.